All right, so we've made it down to the river. Now we're going to work on rigging up our rod for the first time. So we want to undo our rod here. First thing is we're going to pull out our bottom two sections, which are the thickest parts of the rod. Now that we've unpackaged our rod, we want to attach our reel to the rod. Rods come depending on if you're a left-handed or right-handed angler. A right-handed angler will retrieve with the reel on the left side. Left-handed angler will retrieve with the reel on the right side. Pelican reels are able to switch either side depending on which hand you cast with. So I want to attach this reel and slide the reel seat into the little groove that's in the cork. And now I take the little reel seat clasp it over, and I get my lock washers to lock my reel into place. You want to make sure that you screw these in fairly tight, but don't overdo it. The last screw is to lock in the entire reel. Let's pull out our bottom two sections of the rod, which are going to be your thickest two sections. First one is obviously the one with the cork and the reel, followed by your second biggest. And what you're going to want to do is we slide this together. Quite simple. We want to make sure that the eyes are lined up. So I look down down this rod from the back, and I line up the reel with my eyes. Perfect. That one's all set. Followed by the two smaller sections which is our tip and our second section down. We put these together, looking down the eyes to make sure they're aligned. Now we have two sections here. The reason that we want to do it in two sections is it's much easier to put it together than trying to do them one by one. So we put our two sections back together, again lining up the eyes. I take a look. Do I have to adjust it? Yep, I have to adjust it a little bit. Now they're nice and straight. The reasoning for this is that it's very hard to do it section by section. So if I was to put the first section, second section, third section, I can reach it, but fourth, I can't quite reach it, and I'd have to put my rod in the dirt or on the ground, and we want to avoid that. So that's one of the tricks to avoid putting that down in the dirt. We'll move on to stringing up the rod from here. All right, now that we have our rod together, we are going to string this up. There's a couple little tips and tricks that are going to make this more efficient. One of the biggest things about fly fishing that I feel is most important is to be efficient. The more efficient that you can be and the quicker you can be about everything you do means more time that your flies are in the water. So these are the little tips and tricks that you want to use to be on the water quicker. So the first thing is that we want to pull. This is a brand new reel, brand new rod. The line may be curled up, so it's important to stretch your line out. And this happens after you've stored your reel for a little while as well, before you've used it. So let's just go ahead and pull out a bunch of extra line first. So we pull it right out, and we'll see how much this is curled up. And this line isn't too bad. But what I mean by curled up is that you'll find that it has what's called memory. And that memory will cause coiling. So we're going to uncoil it just by taking the line and stretching it a little bit. Not too hard, we don't want to overstretch it, but just a little bit to kind of stretch that line out and take out whatever memory might be left in that line. Great, it looks pretty straight there. Let's move on to stringing it up. One little trick here is that we want to double the floating line over, and this helps for a couple reasons. It makes it a lot easier to go through the eyes of the rod when I'm pulling it through with the floating line rather than the leader. Our leader is so thin, and our brain tells us, hey, I should do at the end of the line and feed it through, but it's really hard. I mean, you can barely see it in my hand, if at all. So that's really hard to feed through the eyes. So with doubling over that floating line, that really helps with us getting through in a really quick, efficient way. Remember, this is what we were talking about earlier when I said we want to be efficient and quick about stringing up our rod. This is one of the ways that helps. Also, when we do this, it keeps the leader from falling back through the eyes when we're stringing this up. So, again, I like to string up my rods somewhere on the river or near the vehicle where I can put this reel so it's protected. This little spot here is perfect. Put the reel up there, don't let it sit in the dirt, and I can string up my rod cleanly and efficiently without any harm done to our equipment.